Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. This is my fifth or sixth in the series of my designs for the holiday season this year. And I've shared them on YouTube, and this is the next one. I thought this was awfully pretty. I was inspired by a woman, her last name is Gray. I'll make sure I put a reference to her in the information below, who had done something with cherry cobbler and gold, and it was just so pretty. I decided to do my take on it, and then also this time I had a layout challenge from my demonstrator group. And this meets the standard for our challenge for this month. And so let me show you what it is that we need to make this card. We need, it really is not very many pieces. We need a piece of cherry cobbler. I cut this 11 by 4 1/4 and skirted it 5 1/2 and folded. Then this piece is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. That's for the inside of the card. And I did something different this time. I did a short layer, also 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, so that I could lift this top panel here to give it a little bit of dimension. And I usually do that with another color, but I thought this one looked just fine this way, and I added a piece of Glimmer washi tape here on the side. And let me tell you about the products we'll be using today. My newest favorite Stampin' Up! Set, this Star of Light bundle. This stamp set is absolutely gorgeous, and the more I work with it, the better I like it. So today it's the Star of Light stamp set, and I'll be using this sentiment here: may your season be peaceful, your new year be bright. And I love the way this kind of cascades down the page, adds a whole new dimension to sentiment on your card. I'm using this large swirl, and I'm using this star and this little star here. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it. Then I'm using the Starlight Thinlet dies. And in this case, I am using several of the dies. I'm using this cutout die for the gold star here on the card. I'm using this intricate die for the red piece here, this smaller intricate die in the Glimmer paper, and then this little die here, which is kind of interesting. It's a cutout die. So what I did was I used that on the inside of the card to cut out so we could see the red through the back, and then I'll show you how I got a little bit of glitter, gold glitter on the center of that star. But that's what we're going to do, and these are the products that we're using. So let me tell you about the setup to cut these pieces. So for the large cutout star, the gold foil paper star, you really don't need anything except your platform, your thin die adapter, a cutting plate, your die, it would be like this, your paper, your die, and then your top cutting plate. For these more intricate ones, and by the way, when I cut out on the plain white paper, I used this same setup. So this plus the white card, and just this, all of these dies have a shorter side and a longer side. So I set it up just inside the corner, and ran that through my Big Shot, and it gave me that pretty cutout. Very easy die to use, and it didn't require the intricate cutting pad. Okay, the last things that we had to cut out were these more intricate dies. Let me see if I grab both of them here. These here. And for that, you do need the platform, the thin die adapter. Then I use the precision base plate. Then my paper and my Glimmer paper and my dies. I keep putting that little die down and not seeing where I put it. In any case, that with this on top of it, run through the Big Shot, and then you've got all of your pieces. Now, this Glimmer paper washi tape was way too thick. Let me get these platforms out of the way here. These was way too thick for this, and this was just recently retired by Stampin' Up, and I am sure that there's plenty of this stuff out available, probably in many widths. And what I did was I put this and stretched it out and laid it down on my trimmer. And I centered it over the center blade, and I just sliced it right down the middle, and I came up with several strips then that are about a little more than 1/4 of an inch wide. And that's what I'm using here. That was another reason I wanted to use a layer, because I like to, when I use washi tape, I bent that around the back side of this card so that the ends didn't show. I like it nice and neat. So that's the products that I used. So let's get started here. The first thing I did was take my card base here and fold and burnish that line and set it aside. This is the panel that we'll be doing most of our work on. So I have got one of these thin strips that I have cut, and I went ahead and put that on straight away, just leaving ever so slight a border on the edge of this card. And not much of an edge to wrap over the back, just enough to capture it so that it doesn't turn loose. And I can tape that down on the back side. This one edge is awfully short. See if I can make that adjustment. I don't want to take this off and put it on too many times, or it'll lose its glue. So let's see, if I give this just a tiny bit more of an edge on that side, and then being careful to get this straight along this edge. There, I've got that in place. All right, the next thing we're going to do is do our stamping on this. And so I'm going to bring out my piercing mat here and some scratch paper. Okay, and set my card down on this, and I'm going to need, Versamark ink. And I've already got my stamps mounted here. So I have the little star here and the large star on the back side of this one little block. And then my large star, and I need my sentiment. And so I've got that here. So the very first thing I did was place my sentiment. And so I'm going to ink this up. And And, oops, before I do that, I am going to take my embossing buddy here and get this card prepared for doing some embossing. Okay, now back to my sentiment here, and I'm going to place this sentiment right up along this edge, and I hope this is straight. I can't really see because I can't pull it down in front of me far enough. That looks to be straight. I guess we'll know in a minute. Yeah, that looks like it's all right. Okay, so the next thing I did was ink up my swirl here, and on larger stamps, I find it's much easier to bring the ink to the stamp than the stamp to the ink. And I want to get that good and stamped up. And I decided, following this same thing of across the card, I did this in the center, sort of from one end to the other, planning to set my star in the center. So I'm going to let that just give that a good press all the way along and get a good impression. All right. Now, the next thing that I did, earlier prototypes of this, I had a lot more of the gold embossed material on here, and I got to tell you that it, I might even have it close by so I can show it to you. Yeah, here's one that I started with, and it just got so darn busy. In fact, I was getting ready to put this star up in the corner and then put the other star across here, and my God, it looked like a it was just too much. So I've gone to a simpler kind of setup for this one, and so I have my large star, and I'm going to put one of those up at the top, and I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put 3 of the smaller stars down here on the bottom, and that's all I'm going to do. So it doesn't look like that's a real good image. Let me see if I can. I'm going to pull this, pardon me, I'm going to pull this real close to me and see if I can, because it doesn't look like it's got enough Versamark on it. There, I think I fixed it. I guess we'll know as soon as I go to fix this. All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way and bring in my gold embossing powder. You know, it looks like it could also stand one more little star right up here. Okay. All right, so let's see here. Okay, a brush here to take away powder from areas that I don't want it. One can get a little over fussy about this, but I think paying attention to those kinds of details is what makes your work yours. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is take my paper piercer, or my tweezers here, and get my embossing gun going here. And okay, well, it looks like this little star didn't get enough Versamark on it to complete the points. So let me see. We're going to try an experiment here. And I'm going to take the tip of a blender pen here and just see if I can, with the tip of that pen, put a little bit of Versamark on there to repair that piece. And we'll see whether that works as a technique. Get a little bit of the embossing powder back here and recover that little piece of the star, and we'll find out real time whether or not this is a technique, pardon me, that works or not. Well, it sort of worked. I did get the end, but it looks like I got kind of a blob on one side, and I'm using my paper piercer while this is still not completely dry to see if I can fix that. And you know, it looks like that's going to work. I think that's close enough. Okay, now I'm just going to take a piece of just tissue and wipe off some of that embossing buddy powder here on the front of my card. Okay, there we go. There we have it. Now let's take a look at the pieces that have been die cut. Here's the star, the large star that's going to go on here. And Here is the small glittered star, and here is the cherry cobbler large star. And what I did was I popped this one up on dimensionals, so I will do that. And I think, got lots of stuff here now. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. So a blender pen dipped in a little bit of Versamark. Looks like if you have something that needs to be filled in, might be able to be a fix you can make. All right, so and this star is, I'm going to dry fit this so I can see exactly where I want things to go. So that will sit there, then this on top of that, and then this piece here with a longer piece down at the bottom. Okay, very good. This is really, once you do your embossing, this is very fast. So I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals, and I'm going to put one in the center, and then I learned that I could just cut right along the edge of the dimensionals to get this very thin strip of dimensional. Now we have those long strips, but they're taller than a regular dimensional, and don't think it would work in this case. So I am just going to put this part way down the star and clip it off, and I'm going to put this up the star point a ways, and I'm going to put it on either side down the star point just a bit, and across this way on this last star point to give my star some real support here. And peel off that backing. And okay, now I'm going to place this star so that it's kind of in the middle of this swirl. Right about there. I just love this card. I think it's so pretty. All right, and then this piece, I'm going to need my silicone mat, and I am going to use some Tombow. It looks like I need to get a new Tombow out. And move some of these things out of the way here. And I'm going to bring in just a little piece of scratch paper here, because sometimes a brand new bottle will just ooze a little bit, and see if I can't get just some dots of Tombow put along some of these wider areas on this beautiful star. This stamp set and this die set is so beautiful. The things that you can do with this are pretty much just endless. I can think of a ton of things that I might want to try with this, and given the time this season, I will make an effort to get some things up and on here that aren't necessarily Christmas, because I think there's some other things that you can do with this set, particularly the swirl and the with the embossing. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I am going to place it very carefully, lining up the points at the top and the bottom, and the longer points on the sides, and then the others. You know, really, that's awful pretty just the way it is. But I'm a sparkle girl. So I also have an opportunity to put this piece on, which I think really does complement the piece. And I see on the back here, I need to take out a few of these little circles that didn't punch all the way out. So I'm going to take a second and do that. I'm afraid I ruined my die brush, so I have another one coming, but it's not here yet, so my efficiency on getting things punched out, boy, I'll tell you, I sure missed it when I didn't have it. Makes such a difference in working with these, particularly these intricate dies. So what I'm going to do on here, now I do have to find that paper piercer. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to put some glue dots on this little star here. So what I did was sometimes these things look like they're growing hair, and I think it's important to make sure you've got all of those off. I saw somebody the other day actually using a little stiff brush on the back. I wouldn't do that on this piece because it's glitter paper, but it's not a bad idea. Anyway, what I'm going to do is take these glue dots and roll them over on themselves so that they're half or less their normal size. And I'm just going to put them on the back, on the spines of this little star. So I'm going to do that on 4 sides. And really, if you fold them over on themselves, they really don't show from the front, which is nice. There. And one more. If you do it just right, sometimes you get something that resembles a little sausage. And then it fits right down the stem. Now this star also has a longer point on one end, and so you want that to match. And the nice thing about this center, there's a hole in this center, and it will be covered, covering this little red piece that's coming up here. So I get red showing through on all the, just about all the places that there is a pierced hole in the star. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I really think it came out well. Now what I did was I did raise this on dimensionals to put it on the back of the pattern, and I noticed that this, I'm going to take a tiny little piece of Scotch tape. This is not staying down, and put that Scotch tape right on there to hold that end down. Should have cut those a little bit bigger. I'm just going to put a few dimensionals on the back of this piece to put it on my card base, and then we'll add our piece to the inside and we'll be done. So actually, for its high impact, a pretty fast little card. A little bit of embossing, not too much fuss, and let me get that stuff out of the way. and take these. Sometimes pushing these things down on the card makes it easier to peel off these backs. Okay, now then, centering this. On here. There we go. There's that. Now I have one of the insides of the cards where I punched out the star. So I wanted a big border because I wanted the red to show through. So I cut this panel fairly small so that there's going to be a nice big border around it on the card. And I'm going to put this down with Tombow. Got a little carried away there. Actually, a lot carried away. That glue's gonna wiggle out in a couple places if I'm not careful. Okay, so I'm gonna put this down and get my border set just like that. And then what I did on this one was I put a glue dot down in the center of that circle. So let me see if I can get one off pretty whole. And I set it in the center of this circle. Well, that one got to be a funny shape and didn't work, so let's try this again. Get a glue dot, put it in the center of the circle, help it back into its round position, and then I have a little pot of Stampin' Up! Gold glitter, and trying to be as careful as I can, grabbed a little bit of that gold glitter and put it down, covering that glue dot. And then taking the excess back into my pot. And that's how I got a little gold dot into the center of that card. And it's covered enough with glitter that, you know how sometimes glue will stick, but it doesn't. And so there is our card today. And I think that one could use one of the other stamps in this set or some of these stars on an envelope and emboss a little piece of the envelope as well. So there's our project for the day. I hope you like it. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching my YouTube channel. And you can purchase everything that's here with the exception of this glitter washi tape, but I'm sure you can find glitter washi tape. And on my 24/7 shop, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And if you make an order with me of $25 or more, I send a product gift from me. And this month in September, people that make an order on my website are also eligible to be in a drawing. And this month I'm giving away a Scalloped Tag Topper Punch. I think it's $23 or $24 in the catalog. And and also, if you put an order in me, you want to use the host code, which is also noted down below with the dimensions and instructions and the measurements for the card. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I will be back soon with another project. Bye!